Test 1, 2. quorum. Where is? Yes. All right. No citizens, check. Hazlet is still hiring city secretary, parks and ground maintenance worker, and water maintenance worker number 1 and number 2. Movie in the park is tonight. It will be Super Mario Brothers. Starts here in a little bit. National Night Out will be on Tuesday, October 3rd from 6 to 8. Same as it always is. We'll just set up at our table. Do we not meet again before then? Who can help cover table time at National Night Out?
October 3rd?
It's a Tuesday night. I think it's the 2nd. 2nd? 3rd? My bad. Yeah, I just said that. Sorry. Yeah, you were right. It's the 3rd.
I'm out of time.
Okay.
It's on my schedule.
Okay. All right. 6 to 8. So Serge, Sarah, Cindy, Dana. Barbara, you coming out for old time's sake? Take your 30-minute mark. I don't know if there's 4 of us and we all do 30 minutes. I think that's good coverage. Just.
And what time do we need to show up?
What time do you want to show up? Because I'll probably be there the whole time, so I'll just take whatever's left. Okay.
That's a 6.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to do like 7? Oh, you want to do 6 to 7. Okay, so between 6 and 7. I don't mind doing 7 to 8. Or 7 to 7:30. Oh, but you might want to walk around. All right. Dana, do you have a preference? All right, so we'll be there. We'll all just cover each other. Okay. Consent agenda for the meeting minutes and financial report from July and August. You're able to pull those up for us by any chance?
Page should be your July financials. They updated the information, just not the title on the corner. Everybody see that? It looks like you have 2 Julys, but you don't.
Just a question on the revenues for the park fund development fee. Where does that come from? It's 44,500.
Park fund development fee, it comes from permits. From permits, new houses have to pay, like new developments, there's a fee in the permit amount that comes to that line.
It was on there. He put it back. It's a learning curve, trust us. I still ask. Good? Are we good? Anyone want to consent them all together?
I
This-
move we accept, this is Barbara, I move we accept the financial report and the meeting minutes. The meeting minutes from August and the financial report from July and August.
This is Cindy, I second.
Barbara motion, Cindy second, all in favor? None opposed, motion carries, minutes approved. All right, action items, discuss, consider, and act regarding purchase, repair, and replacement of Christmas decoration. At one point, I had a list of all those. Do we have a new one?
While we're talking about Christmas decorations, we actually had the storage facility where we keep them was broken into, and we don't believe anything was taken. The best we can tell, they opened it up, were very disappointed, and moved on. So we think we lucked out, but that was something that happened just I think it was last Friday or no, yes, yeah.
Hollis, right.
But we don't think we missed anything.
Has the city has anybody considered installing security cameras in the park?
This is
For
at a
this, yeah.
storage facility
Yeah,
that
sorry.
has cameras. Not here.
Like
it's
where
not
they
here.
keep their
Yes.
stuff?
Okay, I thought it meant the
No,
little.
this was at Storage King. We have 2 units that we have most of the Christmas stuff stored into. And then to answer your question, that has been asked about park cameras, and I believe our mayor was looking at that to see if that was something they wanted to move forward with and what that would cover.
So do we have a list of what we need or don't need, or we just don't really know?
As far as the list of the decorations, I do not believe we have one today. We have one from a previous meeting, and there was talks about something from Park Board going through those to look. As far as I know, nobody's done anything since the last one. I could try to pull that one back up, and we could see. But
So I think from August, what we were hoping that you might have was the light box.
I do
quote.
have that.
So maybe that's
so-
what that was put in there for, the sound
Okay.
box, and then maybe like
So
the
that-
light up tunnel.
Yeah, it's in the Excel one. So Dana, you asked about a replacement computer. So
Yeah.
we got you kind of an itemized list there. So there's a couple different options of how to do this. And so if the original, can you widen that one column there, Forrest Colton? That's C, where they, there we go. So there's a couple different ways to go about this. If the ask is just to replace the existing computer, there's 3 different methods we could go from. So right now we have an old retired computer the city had. We just repurposed it, put the software on it, and it's still running either Windows 7 or Windows 10. I'd have to check. I think it's actually Windows 7. And it's a little bit larger as far as that form factor, so it's a little harder to fit in a box. But so we looked at what would be a good replacement. There's some very premium options. That's what we kind of presented last time. We downgraded from that, and I put in kind of 3 different categories with a range, because there's a billion different options. So you can get one of these mini PCs that are non-branded or fairly unknown. It's not going to be something you're going to immediately recognize. It's not going to be a Dell product, or the other popular one is called Nook, spelled N-U-C. But you can get one of these between $250 and $600, and it would serve a purpose.
When do you prefer?
Well, I honestly, I'll leave it. I don't guess I have any of these will work. So
Okay.
whichever one y'all prefer is good enough for me. The next one is the.
I guess I'm sorry to go back. My question is, does a non-branded version work as well as, say, a refurbished one, since those
There-
are about the same price?
Well, so there's no way of knowing. Like, so the non-branded one are going to be like B-Link and Nexus, and some of them I've never seen before, but they're the ones you see on Amazon. They're
I mean, do they have good reviews, I guess? is my
Yeah, some of
question.
them will have good reviews. There's just you can't guarantee that that company's going to be around long enough for
Sure.
the warranty. But you can get one. I mean, you can honestly get one slightly cheaper than $250. If you had to, you could get it for like $129. But there is no long-term support for it. And if that interests you, then that would not be a good option if you want to have a warranty and some sort of recognizable brand. The next was a brand new option. So the absolute cheapest small or micro form factor is what they call them now, is that Dell Optiplex, and that's $689. And then depending on the processor you pick, you could go to $1,200 in that range. And that's a brand new, sent from Dell, 3-year support. And then the next one is using the same type, but a older model that's factory refurbished or through an online refurbisher. And again, they may offer a warranty, but they may not be in business long enough to actually, to claim that warranty. So you're asking if you're asking for an opinion, I would say, given that it's we've done fine with a used old computer before. It only gets used for about a month and a half a year. I've had great luck with buying refurbished ones through Amazon or even eBay. The city can't really purchase through eBay, but we could find a much newer, but I mean, it would still be several generations back. So you'd be buying one from like 2019, 2018. It's going to be a small form factor micro PC, and those are pretty good. Like I said, I actually have bought 2 recently, and I've yet to have one be bad. But people in the reviews do get the one dead on arrival, and it's only as good as the person you bought it from.
Well, and they do guarantee it to work, don't they?
Well, if you buy it through Amazon, yes. I bought mine through eBay, which the city would not do. So that's a little different. Can't always guarantee that. You have to go to like resolution there. If it didn't, you'd have to tell them it didn't come. It was dead on arrival, and then typically they would get your money back. But
well, and if it's dedicated to just this one thing, I think it would be safer that it was left that way if we didn't get something brand new that had all the bells and whistles that somebody else might look at it and go, oh, we can use this for this other project the rest of the year.
Right, and I definitely think so. So I guess that's the first little 3 lines of this. That's 3 computers.
I'm sorry. Is refurbished the same as like buying certified used Toyota?
Well, that's if you buy it factory refurbished through Dell, that's not on here as an option.
Okay.
That is an option, and they will give you probably just as good as a warranty. The ones I'm talking about are a refurbisher online. So these people just buy a ton of, they buy it by the pallet load of other people, a big warehouse or a big office building upgrades. They buy pallets of them. They go through them all, find the ones that are good, and it's only as good as them refurbishing them. They just determine what worked, what didn't, tested all the ports. If it tests good, they send them back out. But there's no, but I think it's fairly safe to go that route. These things seem to last quite a while, and I haven't had any issue.
So I can read, and I trust that you would put what you need on here, but I'm just going to jump to my question. So I'm not trying to cut you off.
Okay, well, there's 2 parts.
So when you buy a monitor,
Mhm.
you can get them like on OfferUp and
Mhm.
$20, $25. I mean, we have like 3 of them in our house that we don't use anymore because we
Mhm.
changed them out. So why is this one $170?
So the second half of this is kind of what you didn't ask for. So the original ask was, what would it take to get a new computer that's a little more reliable than we have? So the first 3 options, that answers that question. The second half is what I think we actually need. So what I'm suggesting here is to assemble all this permanently into a cabinet. So it'll be a box with all these devices wired
Right.
in with quick connects. And Colton, could you open up the, it's the one that's the Amazon list on.
We talked about that, and we thought we should do that. I
Yeah,
think that was the
but
whole reason
this will
when we
give you some
started that.
pictures of what I'm talking about if it helps. So these are not exactly the items. These are that's the hard thing too on Amazon. You can't guarantee these will be the same model next week or
Right.
so. I don't want to get too tied up into it, but it needs to be a electrical box that's lockable, because you're going to put whatever that you're paying for in that, and if it's plastic or waterproof, and if it's not theft resistant, I mean, you run the risk of somebody just taking all this out. For example, that $199, that's that first option. That's something in that line. B-Link is the most identifiable I've seen. So it would be something that looked like that would again mount in there. And if you'll keep scrolling down, so then
And that one has a $60 coupon. Did you see
it does. Like the UPS there, again, that's just for if you're having people, things trip out or people pull the power on it. It doesn't immediately just rapidly cycle the power to the computer. So that would be another item there, and that's about the smallest, cheapest you can get. And then your answer to the why a monitor, well, that's a very small monitor that's touchscreen, which again would be just added and mounted into that box to never move. Because one of the issues we're having now is we have a box and inside all these things are stacked. The monitor has to come and go with it. So if there is an issue, somebody's got to come up there with a full-size keyboard and a monitor and stack it somewhere and have cords hanging out there. And it's completely doable. We do, a lot of times we do it remotely, and
Seems kind of big.
it's that
15
there's way.
inches?
Yeah, well, there's some smaller options in there. I'm just giving you an idea
Okay,
of
I'm
the
sorry, I'm picking on your choices.
of what
instead of
what
listening.
we think we're gonna fit. And the same thing below it, that's so they all say DIN rail mountable, so these things click onto a rail inside of a, oh. All right, we'll give it a minute to come back, but yes. But either way, so yes. There's not too much, really, it's just one Ethernet connection. That's how we're connected. So it connects into a router and a switch, and then everything communicates that. Mhm. Yep. It's all done through the Ethernet. So all those items there is what I think should be all the pieces you need to make a completed box that nobody else has to really wire. So at the very bottom, there'll be these weatherproof connections, which if that comes back, you can see. But they'll be labeled and it'll be a little more user-friendly. So when our guys take it, they'll take the entire box, they'll mount it where the other ones go, and everything's either color-coded or labeled where they can just plug stuff in and make that a little more repeatable and easy to set up.
So
So,
I'm sorry, I have another question,
go ahead.
because my brain just is ADDing right now. Is there not, we've already had this discussion where I'm a Mac user, you're not, so I get it. Is there not some sort of touchable tablet, like a Dell Chromebook or something, that would let you process those things, already have the screen in it, so it's all together, that we're not getting a screen here and a computer here and $600 there when you can get it all together?
So there is tablets, and traditionally tablets operate a lot like laptops, and we've had issues in the past running a laptop out there because laptops have all the power saving stuff turned on, and we've turned off several of those, but we just found that in general that a typical desktop works more reliably. Now, we could definitely give it a try. I mean, a newer one might be better than we had. When we first did this, we found that it was more repeatable when we had a desktop in there, or anything but a laptop specifically. Now, tablet we've never tried. Typically, if you get a tough tablet or something like that, they're going to be probably more expensive by a lot. $1,500–$1,600 for the tablet, I would assume alone. But I mean, we could definitely look.
I'm not sure about this, and I'll ask, it might be dumb, but y'all don't leave the equipment out there all year, do you?
We have to, yes. No, not all year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
all
why, because I
season.
was thinking
Yes,
the
no, no.
heat.
But all
Yeah,
Christmas.
And the heat,
Yeah,
and
all of
yeah,
Christmas. So
heat
for
and
a
freezing
month.
weather is a concern. Like, we'll typically try to insulate somewhat the box, but just a computer sitting out there in freezing weather is not ideal no matter what. They make some very expensive options that are rated for that, and that is the original one I suggested. But given what we're trying to do with it, I don't necessarily think I suggest spending that kind of money. But that's one that's specifically made not to have issues with extreme cold or heat.
How big is the computer that you're?
So the one you see on here, it's about this big. So the Dell options, they're about this wide, so maybe 2 inches, 2.5 inches wide, and
So like a Mac,
possibly they're
they're like little sandwich box.
yeah, they're called
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and they're easier to fit in there and secure, and then it be a self-contained, not. I mean, usually right now it is balanced in there carefully because there's no way to permanently mount it. There's not enough room.
I'm gonna ask a dumb question. This picture that's here now says a mini PC with a processor. Would that not replace the $1,200 Dell option you just showed us?
It does. That's one of the three options. So that
Okay.
first option there, that $250 to $600 range, that gets you something like that. And if you were to look at that, that probably has like the smallest processor possible. So, and
So
they're
that's
all-
what you were considering option 1 here.
yeah, and
I'm
I didn't,
sorry.
I should have had
Okay.
option 2 and 3, but
It's okay.
it just didn't happen. So, I don't know that they're necessarily a terrible option. I just know if you get a recognizable brand, they're extremely expensive. I mean, $1,500–$1,600 for the current
it-
process,
But if we spent $200 instead of $1,600
and you could just
and it failed next
and you
year,
could throw it away.
we could say,
Yes.
okay, let's buy a better one.
And I don't think that's necessarily a terrible way to go.
Why spend $1,600 if the 200?
Yes.
If we're only using to run Christmas lights, it's not like it's rocket science. It doesn't have to be this high performing
Mm-hmm.
machine. It just has to run the one program for 1 month.
That's it.
And the way computers go out of date, they go out of date so fast. you
And
gotta
with enough
upgrade and-
capacity to do what you want them to.
Yeah, this is the bare minimum. I mean, like that program doesn't require a huge amount of resources anyway. So the bigger
Maybe it's
question
the
is
$200 one that's $60.
very possible. And I'm saying, and when you're looking at that, that's showing no other options. I'll have to double check. I'm
Yeah,
saying
right.
250 to
No, right,
600
right.
was the cheapest complete package that had, you know, a full licensed version of Windows, because some of those don't, and it was in a small form factor. But these are going to be like, if it's Intel, it's going to be the Atom or the Celeron. It's going to be that lowest grade, which again, according to the software requirements, that's what should be sufficient. And then, like I said, all these other items here are just items to consolidate and put it into a permanent box.
So what we're looking at here is the 1380.93.
At the very bottom there, for the cheapest option to the most expensive, if you include all the pieces in the middle, it's $1,580 to $2,580 for all those pieces combined.
And
And
the biggest price difference is in the PCs, right?
well, the grand total of the pieces underneath it, I mean, those add up to quite a bit.
Right.
So you can, I mean, we can continue doing what we're doing now, and chances are it'll work as well as it has in past years, and that costs absolutely nothing. But you can do just one of these computer options. That's unrelated to these. So, you talking about the Pixel one or the other one? Yeah, there was an issue with the topper that shorted, but like I said, that's really the range of options. We could spend nothing and do what we do, and it works. I mean, it's not that big a deal to balance stuff in that box. There's just,
I have my own proposal.
If we do what we do right now, it's not very good.
Mm-mm.
Most of the time I went out there, and it was almost every other night to see, if everything was on. Doug and I had to turn some things on. The music was not playing. The tree was not playing. So what we have is not working.
Agree.
So
I don't
that's,
think I
to
saw it
me,
working
that's
one
not
time
an
last year.
option. We take that option away.
I don't think I saw it working one time last year when I was out
No,
there.
It didn't work very many times. And I don't know, for me, when you walk out there and you see the people walking around and enjoying the decorations and the kids running through there and people, really having a great time, I think we ought to do it right. And if we waste money on, well, let's go buy a cheap version. If it doesn't work, we'll just buy another one next year.
So, question for you. When you say it doesn't work, what did not work? Meaning, if
The
I buy,
lights, the music.
if I buy a new computer with the same program we have today, and really the program's the problem, not the hardware, not the connections and all that. Are we
It
gonna
was
have
the
same
computer
problems?
didn't work.
It worked in previous years. Great. And I have videos of it.
I don't,
Yeah, I have videos of it rolling.
I'm just
So
asking,
did we
yeah.
change software?
no, so I mean, from my memory, we had an issue in the early part of the season. We first put it out, and it was basically we just had to restore the computer. There was an issue where it would not take the current date, so we just completely wiped it out, put an update to a BIOS to it, and that seemed to fix the clock issue. We replaced the internal battery, and then a clean install of Windows, and we had it working after that. I don't remember the majority of the second, the the first week, I think week and a half, we had issues, and after that, I don't remember any issues after that.
So I have my own suggestion. Y'all can give me your feedback. I agree that we need a new system. And I am going to make a lofty observation that these are the higher end pricing. And I don't know that we need to spend $1,500, but I feel like you could do it for less, especially if the PC you're getting is $200 and right now it's got a $60 off coupon. So I would like to suggest a lower dollar amount. I don't know, maybe $1,000. You can get what you can get off of that and it works the best you can. And if it doesn't work out, then come back and say, hey, I need a little bit more.
Like I said, it does not matter to me how you
I
want to
just don't think
forward.
$170 for a monitor that we're only spending $120 for the PC for is
Sure.
really a smart idea.
And you don't have, and like I said, this is up to y'all. This is just what those cost. And
But I think we
say-
need the box. I think we need the cables. I mean, I know that those are things we need.
Now, some of these things you don't need without the other. I mean, like, not all these pieces would you need if you don't have all the pieces to it. Like I said, we're good with if you want to, you could just buy a computer and put it in the existing box, and we'll make that work. Like I said, this was more to make it an organized panel that was connected and secured, and
So-
we can do any range from in between that.
So the Lighterama software, that's not something that we have, or is that going to be
You
a
do.
new version?
You have whatever version we started with. There's been some improvements, and
We just need a new version.
that would be my suggestion. If you're
Okay.
going to make an upgrade that as well.
So I
like
mean,
said,
I think we
again,
at least need the new box, the new version, the locking box. So I mean, that's
well,
$600.
And the one we have now, like I said, we have a padlock on the one we have now. So
But is it waterproof and?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they're rated for outdoor.
that's my opinion. Guys.
Well, so let me,
I have
Sort of.
another suggestion that we have spent so much money on all of those decorations. And it breaks, I'm like Dana, when I go out to the park, and I drive by it every night because I live around the corner. When I go out there and don't see everything working, it breaks my heart because any of you that have put in any time, and I know the guys have, in getting those things ready for all those people to see it, it's a lot of work. And we've spent a lot of money on, doing things that we can't do anymore or that we can get done faster and quicker and all that stuff that I don't think we need to get too cheap. I mean, I think $2,500 might be a little too much. But for what we have spent on Christmas decorations, I really don't think that $2,000 is going to hurt us. And I know James well enough that he's going to count every penny that he can to make it stretch.
I have no counteroffer. I'm just cheap. That's all. I think that if I just don't think we need, based on what he's got here, I think he can do it for including that. I don't know.
I mean, like I said, it makes no difference to me truly. Like this is if the ask was to find a computer, I think you can find one in these ranges. You just got to tell us which way you want to go. And all the second section here, which is expensive, just makes it a little more repeatable and a little more secured in a box. So
I have a question. So let's just say that we get a refurbished Dell, and we go ahead and get one that costs $500. Then what we need from this list is the software. I'm going to round it to 200, so that's 700. And then what else do we need? I mean, do you recommend that we get a different box? Is this box going to be the one we have, is it going to be the right size?
So it depends on what components you put in it. So we were going a little smaller on the box size because we're not trying to fit. I mean, like when this all kind of came about, we didn't buy a network switch from Park Board didn't purchase one. We just found an old one that they took out of service for City Hall, but it's a full size network switch. It's rack mountable, so it's like this big, it's like this wide, and that's thrown in there sideways. And then they took a UPS out of something that we didn't need for about a month, and we threw that in a box. And they took an old computer that originally we used. It was actually Mike Thedford's old laptop. We used his until his stopped working. We used David's until his stopped working. Then we determined that laptops were kind of a problem, and we put a PC that came out of City Hall. So the majority of really there was no upfront expense, I think, for the control portion besides software. So that's how we've done it in the past. I think we actually used an old electrical box as well that we had. Like I said, I think we just kind of pieced together what was available to make this work. So, like I said, there's endless options into what we can do. I mean, like I said, for as little as $250, I think you could have a option for a computer, and that just goes in the existing box. And it won't be organized, or it'll just be kind of shoved in there, but that's okay too.
Well, I'm just going to be honest. I don't think there's any way we're going to get around a new computer.
Yeah, well,
Like,
the software.
that's what we have to have. Like, we have to
Yeah.
motion,
And
right? So,
And there might be an option that the software will be slightly cheaper, because this is a full price, and they'll probably allow us an upgrade. So there's some room in here. But like I said, also these prices here they have nothing. There's no contingency. There's no additional pieces in there. Like, this is bare bones what those cost at today's prices. And as far as for high end options, these are actually the lowest end options. This is the Chinese stuff that comes unbranded from Amazon. So it's probably fine. I use a lot of them, but they're not like, they're not.
Aren't you gonna need to replace the wires though?
Not necessarily.
'Cause don't they go bad? I would
They
think
do.
they do.
These are only if we're trying to make all those components in wire loom and connected to a DIN rail and attached to both ends where there's quick connect. But do we have to? No. We can probably take a lot of the existing cables if we're not changing how they connect there. So.
Well, I do understand the desire to make it with quick connect, because that, since it's not going to stay in there permanently, you need to be able to have a way to connect it easily and remove it easily. So that's my opinion. I'm not opposed to. I mean, $1,400 for a computer system is pretty cheap.
Well, so I would say, excuse me, it's $1,400 or $1,500, but it's not just a computer. It's everything else, all the accessories, the box.
Well, I mean, if you look, like, so the grand total of all the other pieces is $1,380. So that rivals the cost of the computer to put it all into a organized cabinet. Like I said, but again, that is not a requirement. That's just an observation of things that would make. I mean, will it make things? It'll make cables last longer because they're secured. It'll make repeatability for people installing it better, because I can send almost anybody to plug in the pieces that are color coded. They're not going to have to plug in all the stuff inside. But I truly, this is whatever direction y'all want to go. I'm good with any of these options, all the way from we just keep doing what we're doing. That's absolutely free.
what if we just did half now and let you get it set up, and then you tell us what you need left? So you buy the computer, you see if the box that you have works, or if you need a new one, you upgrade this. We know we need a computer, we know we need software, right? I personally would like to see you be able to just keep it in a box, bring the box out like to bring out the Christmas decorations, right? I mean, maybe we keep it in City Hall and in a storage unit, but still, you know what I mean? Because it is, I don't know how much work it takes. I'm sure it's a lot, but I know you guys program the lights for us. You guys work on that. Plus, you're still mowing the grass. Plus, you're still checking the water. So I think it would be more convenient for us just to have it in a box. But if it fits in the box we already have, is the box just, I guess my theory was, I say we approve the computer, we approve the software, and whatever, a battery backup, that seems logical, right? You get it all together, see what wires we have, and then come back and say, okay, I would really like to have 5 of these wires instead of 10, because the ones I have are working, but I'd like to just plug this so that it can just move as a whole box.
No, but hang on, Sarah. It's kind of like comparing everything that you shoved into the closet. You can make it work, but it's a jumble, and that's what it's like underneath that box. And they need, in order for it to fit into a box where everything hooks together, they need these pieces that work together that do that.
So if
Otherwise,
our
they're
box
just,
is bigger, is that not better?
otherwise they're just jumbling it back underneath the tree, underneath
Right.
the big tree.
Yeah.
And it's stacked on top of
Okay.
each other and
Listen, I'm just going to be
Not
completely
organized.
honest. I don't work with computers. I use a Mac because I can't crash it.
Well,
That's a true story. So I'm just going to, that's just my cheap opinion, but I'm going to support whatever we decide.
Okay, so if we just said temporarily, I mean, if you got everything from the box down,
My suggestion is if you don't want to do the complete version of this, then just buy a computer, and the software really is up to you. The software we have is fully functional. It will do exactly what it's always done. The newer one, I can't tell you that there's a feature in it that we need more than the other. I just assume that over this many years that there's been significant changes, and some of those might be some stability, and that would be, so I would think a UPS, the computer, and that I think would be the minimum. And truly, we probably could donate a UPS for a month out of a year, pulling it off of another. We have a lot of these for SCADA panels that we can borrow for a very short amount of time like that. Because, I mean, your UPS is not going to hold up, I will tell you that. Is no matter what, when you put it in there and then you unplug it and it sits dead for, 10 months, it's not going to last long, but that is the nature of it. And you don't have to have it, but it does protect the computer. It's that in the park, your power is going to be on and off, and Christmas lights just in general will get hot and they will trip breakers. So there is an inevitability of just trying to keep Christmas decorations going.
This is my opinion, if we're gonna upgrade the processing, the computer, then I think we should upgrade all the supporting equipment that goes with it. Because if we don't, then the possibility we could be nickel and dimed for all this stuff. And then we keep hearing the same complaints about, well, it's not working again.
Well, and I should
well, and old equipment doesn't always work efficiently with
Yeah.
new equipment.
Colton, if I send you one more picture, could you add it up there for me?
And I think I'm not sure who mentioned before, we spent all this money on, what percentage of this is the cost that we spent? Very little. Personally, for me, I've been in computers before. Time to upgrade, it's time to upgrade. Yes, it costs a little bit more, but maybe it's gonna make your evenings more pleasant because everything's working tonight. So I'm okay with spending the $1,500. If there's something that James can say, I can get a different price for a box, or really don't need a box, I would be okay with that too.
So and these are none of this has anything to do with Christmas lights, so it will look nothing specifically like this. I'm just saying this is what I'm talking about is you have a bunch of items. So where it says Panduit on there, that's all the gray stuff that you route the cables through. And then at the bottom of the box, I don't think at this point I had it, but you'll have quick connects for power, and you'll have quick connects for the Ethernet cables. So nobody's having to open it up, and all those are pre-wired on the inside. So like I said, it's just an option. It's functional both ways. Like it works. It will function no different than it did before. But the hope will be it'll be more reliable because things aren't falling and moving, and cables aren't being stretched, and they'll be routed in there and forever. So that's my suggestion of why to spend it on these items. Like I said, one of those items is it says DIN-rail switch. It's 16 ports. It's powered off of a little power supply, and it's this big instead of this big. So you're paying sometimes a little bit for the fact that you're getting something small made to fit into a cabinet. It's cheaper on even the micro form factors. Those cost more just because it's smaller. And like I said, the home-based people, they run this off whatever they have. Old computer sits in the garage. Runs the cables out the garage door. Unfortunately, we're going to be in a park, and we already have enough issues, and that's always a concern. You could spend this money and spend a lot of it, and then it could be vandalized, stolen, and it's gone as fast as you put it in. That's always the risks we're taking. So
real quick,
Does the city not have insurance to cover
So I don't think in that scenario that would cover those unless we specifically insured those kind of items. But I think most time our deductibles are well
Right.
above what this cost.
Okay.
Real quick on this, let's say this box as an example, this is the box we have. Do you put it out there every year and then you take it out, or does it stay there permanently?
So the one we currently have, it's like we just built like a socket for an mount that it mounts on and sits inside the Christmas tree. And then there's a decorative border around it. So it is somewhat hidden from other people, but nothing, it's not really fenced off. Or usually we hide it in some method, but that's what we typically do. So it's all contained to that tree. Yeah, then it goes back, it sits in our office or storage and just sits there for the whole year. So I mean, like I said, I don't disagree that it's hard to spend a lot of money for such a short amount of time, and Christmas lights are forever aging, and you have to keep in mind how old that pixel tree is. I can't even remember at this point when we started, but all those stringers are likely, we replace pieces of them every year and they seem to hold up, but that stuff is aging.
Are you referring to our newest tree?
No, but that is aging as well. But no,
Right, I know it's
the
been
Pixel
within the
one
last
with
5 years.
that this controller operates. Like I said, it's hard to get value back out of Christmas lights. Like I said, even the other ones we buy, they're telling us 3 to 5 years max, throw them away and buy new ones. There's no money or added value in keeping and restringing. So.
Got a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we designate $1,700 for new equipment for the Christmas lights and the sound system and however else I need to word it. And if there's any more needed, then you can come back and talk to us.
Okay, I will say this does not include anything for speakers or sound. So that would, we could try to fit that in as an additional thing, but that was not included in this.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion for 1,700 to get as much as we can off of the list with the basic, I think we agree, of the new processor, software.
Battery backup. Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure if we run out of money for some reason.
You should be able to get the majority of the list and maybe not get the most expensive PC. And I'm assuming that if you order it through Amazon, that if you get it and it doesn't work, they will replace it.
Yeah.
They're typically good about
Right.
some protection there. The only thing I was pointing out is the long-term servicing, and again, I've had great luck. It's a gamble, but it's a very low-cost gamble. So I mean,
Well,
there's
from what you've said, that, with the weather and everything else and that lack of use and in between, we may be replacing it. So it
Every year.
may not
No,
be the
I-
best
yeah.
idea to spend a whole lot of money on that in the first
I agree.
place.
And like I said, and that's really the only difference between. Honestly, the smaller computer is even easier to fit in a panel. There's more room, but it is going to be slower, and and they're going to use the cheapest possible component. So if you wanted a guaranteed, tried and true warranty, and that Dell would stand behind and they would fix, and then I would go with the Dell. But if we're good with, if it doesn't work more than a few seasons, we spend another couple $100. We keep moving on.
I assume this upgrade, which computer, is better than what current have today.
Yes, all these options are better than.
Anything's better than what
I
we
would,
have.
I would hope
and-
so, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's so hard about it. Like basically anything is, and this will run off. This would probably run off of Windows XP still. The software is not very resource hungry. It'll run off of 1 gigahertz single threading. Like it doesn't have to be anything major to run this. So that's why a lot of people will use an old, outdated computer. But at a certain point, if we're having issues with Windows 7, Windows 10, they're not even supported anymore. They're not going to patch anything. They're not going to update anything.
All right, so Cindy motioned 1,700 to get us a new, that would be what you've kind of asked here, including the PC option, whatever we can work out. And then Chuck, seconded. All in favor?
I have another question.
Okay.
For James, is that enough? 1,700 for Or is there any item on here you can say, you can mark through and say, we don't need, we don't need, we don't need, because 1,700, that's 1,380 plus 500, that's already, what,
We-
1,880?
He'll
The-
come back.
Yeah.
You just come back?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so to that point, do y'all have, I mean, you have a minimum requirement of what you want to see in the computer, if that's the most important part? Because if I buy the absolute cheapest computer and then get all these components, would y'all prefer to have a better computer?
I just say a better processor, so it just keeps up with whatever the software requires to run.
Well,
Listen, this is
yeah.
my limited
Well,
computer speak
so-
here.
And like I said, just to be clear, all these options are the absolute lowest possible processor unless you're buying refurbished. If you're buying refurbished, you could probably get one of the best processors, but from 2019.
Well,
But
I
the-
don't
yeah.
think there's a problem getting a refurbished. Getting the
think so either.
top, the most expensive refurbished, Dell refurbished, and I think getting a brand name myself makes, it's not as risky. That's my opinion. No. 500, if you get the top of the line Dell refurbished and you add 500 down here, that's
Yeah.
1880. But
But
like
if we're
some of
able to
these
use our
other
old locking
things-
box and the old locking box still works, then
Or
Right.
some of these things may be on sale.
So
where
the-
you might be able to
like I
find
said,
a
the
better
second
price.
option, like the first option is new. It's just from an unrecognized, unknown brand, and it's
Correct.
the lowest possible processor that you can get. It's the least amount of options. It's just the cheapest version you could possibly purchase is in that range.
are you saying that because you're afraid it's not going to run the software?
No, I'm just making it clear that it's not a high-end solution, or I'm just saying all these should work fine. I'm just saying that is just not it may be a brand that you've never seen or heard of, and we don't know long-term if it'll be supported, but it's also cheap. We could throw it out and buy another one. And then that next option is a much older, and we'll find the best version of a refurbished one in that price range. So it could be, most of them in that price range are from 2019 or earlier, 2017 to 2019. And the one that's new would be new today, but again, it's the lowest level at new
But
prices
sometimes that's all
today.
you need, is a new one that's the lowest
Yeah, like I said,
level.
all these meet the minimum requirement. So there's no issue there. I'm just,
I mean, I have the basic iPad when it came
Yes.
out. I didn't get the Air, I didn't get the Pro, I didn't get anything fancy. And guess what? I still read books and I still check the internet.
yeah.
I'm not gaming on it. I mean, if you're just doing your one task, all you need is the basic. Right? As long as it keeps up with the software.
Any of these options will work.
Okay, so $1,700. Dana, we're good? If he needs more, he'll come back.
Is 1,700,
Well,
Good-
it's
I
been
mean,
motioned
because-
and it's been seconded, so we have to vote on
Yeah.
it, and then you can.
who seconded?
Chuck.
Oh, Chuck? Okay.
So we
Well,
can,
that'd
you
just
can
be
say
more work
no,
for
and we can
him.
do another one, but, all right, so we motioned. You'll come back to us if you don't need to, we seconded. All in favor for this initial 1,700, and he'll come back to us? Okay, everyone approves.
All right.
Yeah, and let us know what else you need. So the next item,
The person from the EDC that wanted to present this is not here and not available to be here tonight.
well, and I took it upon myself to review the minutes, and it has not actually been discussed. So I actually also reached out to an EDCB board member, and they don't recall it being discussed. They had a meeting that was canceled, so I was kind of confused how it was going to go forward anyway, so we're just going to defer this 5B. Oh, they met 2 nights ago. So I haven't updated my contacts. How's that? Do we have minutes from 2 nights ago? That's not a thing, right? Okay, so I actually will take that back because I did not go to the meeting 2 nights ago, so maybe they have something for us now. I understood it to be that there was some interest in providing shade structures for the tennis courts, but my question for James was, didn't we have that on there? Didn't we have some sort of covered bench when we did the plans?
So I called Roman before
Like,
this
did they
meeting to
leave
see,
that out?
and he couldn't remember ever having any discussion of shade structures. I think there was a discussion, but I'm not 100% positive where that was or what the scope of it. But there's two concerns with that project in general. So nothing's impossible. Anything that you want is doable. But if it's a cover directly over those benches, they will be in the way of possibly the light. I mean, it'll for sure block light going straight down. And depending on how wide, it may or may not be in the field of play, which would mean you would need to go way higher. Well, it would really just depend on what was wanted, and anything's possible.
I don't think it would be in the field of play, because like at Keller High School, they added covered benches that were not there eventually, originally. And it wasn't a problem. Sometimes if somebody hits a wild ball that's out, it might hit the roof of it, but it's not a big deal. It's
Yeah.
out anyway.
Yeah, like I said, that was discussion I had with Roman. Is he said absolutely anything's possible. Like the ask is very non-specific.
Did you say
So-
Roman?
Roman, he works with Belchuff and Associates.
And that's who put in our system, right?
He was,
So
yeah.
my question is that something that now has to be, because it's obviously easier to put holes in a foundation when you're pouring the foundation. So now to go and add the shades, did he mention anything about that?
Well, we had about a 30-second conversation, but it still is. It depends on what's being asked exactly. I mean, I don't know if it mounts to the ground, if it's surface mounted, or if it mounts to a pole of some sort that's already there. We hadn't seen specifically what's being asked, and that's the only two concerns that are there. Is it would basically, the light that's in the center would be casting directly down on top of whatever shade it is, so that would cause some change to the lighting layout. And we did not know that there was any option that would not potentially be in the field of play. And so height may be a requirement. Again, that also would cause issues with the light. So I mean, is it doable? There is probably a scenario that is doable. We would have to understand exactly what's being asked and then propose a solution that fixed all those interferences.
I'll just say at Keller High School, that's the only one I've seen that wasn't there originally and that was added. It was, I'm sure they used concrete screws to attach it. And I don't know how deep it went or anything like that, but they were very nice.
And Barbara, is it kind of like the fabric that we have over our park?
They're like a metal, something like that.
And what was the height of it? Or?
Well, more than 5'2".
There we go. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I think they're usually, high enough that somebody that's tall isn't going to bump their head. And I have also seen them where they're slanted one direction, but the ones there are kind of like a little roof.
Yeah.
I think we collectively think that it's not a bad idea to have a shade structure. If someone else, I think it's interesting that EDC wanted to add that, so I was kind of curious to see, but I don't think that any of us oppose having shade on a tennis court. It's hot, Texas.
No, but I
so.
do understand it might be difficult because as the sun goes over, then, how much shade do you put out there? And then and if it gets over here, it's
Yeah.
not doing you any good anyway, so. Yeah, it's going to be, I'd like to see what Keller has and maybe, I'm sure that there are several different options. And after
So I'm
that's
going to
done-
leave this one as we're game, given the proposal and the estimate and what EDC is willing to cover or wants to cover or whatever it is. Just see what it is. So we'll postpone it. So can we roll this one over to the next meeting and just no motion, no action? Okay.
I would, however, like to put it in the record how hard Barbara worked to get that
You did.
done. And she vowed that she would be alive to see it happen. And she was. And I've played on the courts, and they're wonderful, and thank you. If we just had a place to know where we were supposed to put our net. So, thank
Oh,
you
for
very much
pickleball.
for all your hard work. I,
All right, so we'll just talk about that next time. Maybe the EDC board's gonna show up and they've got an estimate already or something. We'll. All right, so movie in the park is September 22nd. That is today. Here in just a few minutes. We're gonna run out there and grab you a burger and watch it Mario Brothers. Yeah, so let's National Night Out, pretty much self-sufficiently taken care of by Katrina. We just roll out our help at our table. Everything's free. Bring your neighbors. Hazlitt Hustle is postponed this year because of whatever the roads problem is. Christmas in the Park is first Saturday of the month, December 2nd. Looks like we have a little event planning. Santa's arriving like normal. Katrina's made this all out. So I don't recall it ever being a problem at Christmas in the Park for some reason. So I don't know if it's the timing, but I know after the 4th of July, some of the vendors asked could they have vendor parking that is on the same side as the creek. Is that something we can arrange for those events to put behind the tennis court to let vendors have a parking on our other side of the grass? Because it's difficult for them to get their car, get out of the parking lot. You know, if we don't have a sheriff directing traffic, it's nearly impossible. So
If there's adequate room, we have no issue with that.
like, you know, just park on
Sure.
that field that's back there behind the tennis court. I know it's cars on grass, but
I don't know. We just have to make precaution to keep the church property from being, parked on. We share a very hard to tell boundary line, so
Okay.
we would want to cone that off and then
and assign parking spaces so that you get one spot per vendor.
Yeah.
Not, your whole family brings their car and parks on this side of the parking lot. I mean, I think that we should maybe number them. I know that I don't mind bringing a spray paint can and hey, if you're vendor number 1, this is your parking space.
yeah, you have it coordinated with where they're gonna be on the other place.
And I mean, that way we're not having everybody park over there, you know what I mean? So, oh, well, my cousin's here and then my band friend is here. The band. Anyways. All right. So we can worry about that next time. Oh yeah, so we had one proposal for, we have a new snow globe. And I guess when Katrina mentioned to the team that we weren't really looking for the snow globe because of the germs and the bugs, their solution was to provide a brand new one because
The price was going up at the
Right.
other place. We used to rent it up, and I think they were up $1,600 or $1,700 you get, but they provided the pictures.
so this one
You
is
guys voted not to do it.
another snow globe.
A
If
different
anyone-
company is offering one for $400.
I still think they're disgusting.
Yeah,
so
then that's fine, but
you
I
can pass that
told
down
her I
and we
would
can
present
choose
it.
if you'd like, but I would choose not to. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, in previous years, they brought this snow globe and they took a picture and provided the picture for you. It was really cool.
A different company.
A different company. And then COVID happened and it kind of grosses me out now to think that I'm in a bubble where everyone.
But they do
Didn't
have
we
this
replace
I
it
don't know
with
why
some-
it didn't gross me out before, but
It's
Yeah,
just
but-
that she's holding it for us, and if you guys don't want it, I'll let it go.
Did we not replace the snow
We
globe
did.
with something else?
we did replace it with something else. We replaced it with the sled, I believe, the inflatable blow up sled or something.
'Cause at least that's out in the open air. Yeah.
Well, it would defeat the purpose of a snow globe, right? Snow globes are closed. I don't know. And we have that frame that Mike built us that I think is cool to take pictures in front of. And I don't know. Would anyone like to add that as an item, or would we like to release their hold? I would like to release their hold, unless someone would really like to have that. All right.
We already
All right, we'll
replaced
skip
it.
the globe then. Quote, quote. Were we gonna try to do that pre-order thing? Oh, okay.
Sorry. So let me start right here. So in 2021, we paid average of $13.95 for long sleeve t-shirts. In 2022, we got short sleeve t-shirts and we paid average of $9. So Spirit Wear, that will let you set up your own e-store and offer, so we could offer potentially, for example, red or green t-shirt, long sleeve or short sleeve. But here's the catch, you gotta sell at least 24 pieces of each one. If you order it individually, say a person wanted to order this, $10 shipping per shirt to their house, and they start at, if you bought 100 pieces, they start at $18.33 each. This is for a long sleeve. If you only buy 48 pieces, that goes up to $21.93 each. So they're more expensive, but there you go. That's the price quote I had. Anybody have any? I have a lot of paperwork here, so if you have any questions, I can try and answer them. But
What are the t-shirts for?
For Christmas.
Well, yeah, I mean, do we
They're
sell
very
them
cool.
and do we give them?
We try to sell them, and there are people that buy them. And last year when we got short sleeve, the only feedback we got was, "Oh, I sure hope you guys have the long sleeve." And so it's been a long sleeve one ever since. I've got a gray one. I've got a red one. We did the short sleeve green one, and did we sell less that? Did we even sell any that year that we did the short sleeve? We usually give them away like the following event. Mhm. And then we usually end up with one for the park board members, you know, to wear. I mean, it's not like it's a big profit builder. It's just some people like to have a t-shirt from the event.
And is it dated, meaning, Christmas
Mhm.
part 2023 and et
Yeah,
cetera?
the front has been the same sign on the front, and then it has the sponsors and the year on the back. So whoever sponsors it gets their name on the shirt. So it's just part of the sponsor package. And I think last year we talked about, do we want the little emblem to be smaller on the side or keep it big in the middle? And we really like the emblem on the front. I think they're really cute. My favorite one is the gray long sleeved
is it?
heather gray, if anyone wants to know my favorite.
We haven't done white in a long time.
I also have a red
but
one.
it's up to y'all.
My second favorite one. No, those were $10. Yeah, the $15 ones are the ones that, they're $14 ones are the ones that I have, and I really like them. They're pretty good quality. They've got like almost like an elastic at the wrist, because they're the long sleeve. And it's a pretty heavy duty cotton.
Those came from.
This one is cheaper to me than
Fort
the
Worth
long sleeve
promo.
ones we've used before. What's the minimum we need to buy for our vendors? Like if we just buy them the traditional way, can we just buy 100 instead of 150 and have less left over?
Yeah. Really good. You mean for the sponsors? Well, I don't know till we get the sponsors.
Okay, we've had just a guesstimate. How many sponsors have we had?
In the past.
20,
Names on the back
40?
of that shirt.
Oh, count them on the back of the.
Oh, these sponsors. We don't give them to the vendors?
No,
Or we only give them to them? Okay.
no, we can't afford.
They can.
Did you talk to Keller Trophy? Well, I called them and they set up a online store as well, but they don't ship out. I mean, we would have to go pick them up, and then the people would have to come up to
Pick them up at the event.
Yeah, pick them up at the event.
I like
And
that
they
better.
would do that too, ship them to, for no,
I
Well,
think that's
ship them
better.
all to one location.
Isn't there some way that they can get a receipt and then we have, because they would collect all the money, correct?
If we set up the e-store, that's one way they will do it, or we could just buy them and ship them to them. They'll do either.
Right, that's the way we've always done it,
Yeah.
but it seems like it would be nice if they collected the money, sent them some kind of a receipt or a, what's that thing?
QR code.
Pardon?
A QR code.
A
or
QR
something.
code.
They charge a lot. They
I
do
think
it
we might
fast.
just try
Well,
another
but
company.
I think that Keller Trophy would do that for us too, and 'cause I know that the softball team at Northwest, I have to go online to order my shirt, but then and I pay for it online, and then they send all those shirts to the coaches, and then I have to get my shirt from them.
Yeah, same. I haven't checked the Keller Trophy.
Yeah.
on shirts. I mean, we use it for a lot of stuff.
And you
But
can,
I think these people, what you're paying for, the value is how fast they do them. Their turnaround time.
Well, but we could even take pre-orders. That's what they do for the high school. And then they would only be able to pick them up on Christmas in the park. Bring your receipt, come and get it, take it, go.
Or we could just put that out there online. Hopefully they-
and depending on, we set the price, you know, they're going to tell us, oh, long sleeve is $18. But we can go and we can say, we're selling them for 20, so we make $2 per shirt.
Right. But then we're gonna have to pay for all the ones that we give away. So I don't,
Well, and we order for them and we order for us too.
right,
So there's a minimum order right there, probably.
right. But you're paying more per shirt, so,
Yeah, let's check with Keller, because they're fairly local too, but I think we can do it
We
a
have
little bit
time.
less expensive.
we have time. We
Yeah.
will meet again on October 11th, assuming you guys are all able to do that, and maybe we can.
So are we willing to manage the shirts here and hopefully there are no issues, you know, I got my cart, I ordered a small or I ordered a large. I would be concerned with all that. Not sure if that's.
Well, I think that if they order online and we take pre-orders and they pay for them online, they have a receipt for what they ordered.
Sure.
And that,
So if we
And
get
then
it
we-
wrong, they
you
just take it
ordered
back
the
to the people
small,
they ordered.
I'm sorry, all I have here for you is a small.
And then do we buy more to sell at the event or no? I don't know.
Let's talk about that at the next meeting.
Let's see.
All right. Yeah, t-shirts are a loss of money. It's kind of like Wild West. But it's fun. They're fun. They're fun t-shirts. Okay. Easter egg hunt. Oh, sorry. Do we have anything else for Christmas?
I
That,
don't.
not now.
I do not have
Okay.
anything else today.
Do we need any Christmas decorations or anything? Lights? We need to buy more lights. We don't know yet. Okay. 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 All right, so we'll bring that back. Easter egg hunt is going to be March 23rd. I think we voted on that meeting or two ago, 4 to 5 p.m. Memorial Day celebration, May 27th, 10 a.m. We have a backup speaker, so if anyone has a speaker they would like to recommend, I'm happy with our backup, but our backup has asked that we extend it to anyone else. So if anyone knows a veteran that would like to speak, send them our way. Fire.
I would be glad to do it again,
I thought you did great.
just in case.
I thought you did great. Fireworks Independence Day event. We don't need to pick a day. That's a year away. All right. Yoga, Tai Chi, going good. Good. Any other projects or ideas? We did, I was supposed to get an email from the mayor. He had suggested that we develop a rules sign to put on the tennis court because, like just something that's posted with the obvious things that you see at parks. Please don't ride your skateboard on our tennis court because apparently people don't know to not ride their skateboard on the tennis court. And so he said he already had a list started and was going to email it to me, but I don't have the email. But if anyone has any ideas, I'm happy to pass those on to him. Seemed like it was something that he wanted to get done, so. I called some friends of mine that play sports and I said, hey, how long is the average basketball game? You know, because if we're going to put a time limit, you know, please be courteous of someone else. And apparently, 45 to 90 minutes is the amount of time that someone plays a sport, from basketball to tennis to pickleball to volleyball. So I don't know if we want to say limit your game time to 1 hour, just as a rule.
Tennis.
Right. But if there's people that are waiting, it is a public park, and I don't know if you can finish it in an hour. I don't know. We're not taking reservations. We're not doing anything else. So I don't know what I was joking with my friend that plays basketball, and I said, what happened to you walk up to the court and say, I got next? Isn't that a thing anymore? Like, I guess not anymore. I don't know. Go ahead, James.
Yeah. No, I'm not positive. You've talked to the mayor since. He did mention potentially putting up some temporary rules in the interim
Yeah.
just to help solve some immediate issues. Just, you know, people putting chalk all over that and things like that. So you may see some rules that appear, and then he's looking at developing long-term with everybody else's input. So if you happen to see him, that's all
Yeah,
that
right.
they're doing is just immediately putting up
Because
some
there's
rules.
chalk and skateboards on the brand new tennis courts.
Yes, and so I think that's the motivator. I just want to make sure
Seriously.
that was going to happen.
Well, because what's happening is the pickleball people come up with a large group of people, and so they are putting lines on the other court, even though there's 2 there and 2 on the basketball court. They want to play in the enclosed space.
And I don't think that there's a problem.
It's
You
just
can't
the residue.
remove chalk if you're drawing the lines with chalk.
There's chalk.
And what is are they gonna warrant the paint if they use tape on it?
Yes. So far, all I've seen is I've seen just kids' art and chalk. So the kids, they're playing and just chalking everywhere, and then the residue from the tape. So they're pulling the tape back off, but it's leaving the sticky portion down. So that's,
So they're taping their pickleball lines.
yes.
And
I mean, do we need a dedicated tennis side? I mean, since they're tennis courts? Right. And there's people playing tennis, and my theory is if no one's playing tennis, why shouldn't they be able to play pickleball on it? It's a court, right? Same as basketball. But if somebody's playing basketball and then somebody wants to play pickleball, you're not going to kick me off. You're going to wait till I'm done with whatever sport I'm playing on, whatever the surface is. Right?
But how many courts?
I don't know.
We have 4.
We have 2 tennis courts. We have 1 full basketball court. Yeah, but they're covering the tennis court. They're dual purpose, right?
And
And the
same
2,
with the basketball.
there's 2 pickleball courts on the basketball court.
Yeah. And yeah, they have not been repainted, but I believe that was not a intention to repaint those.
Because
They
we
were gonna-
thought that 2 pickleball courts on the tennis court would
Yeah.
be functioning.
They're I think the theory was we're providing one version of almost everything. I mean, 1 basketball court,
Mm-hmm.
1 tennis court, 2 pickleball, because it's half of a tennis court. You know, same kind of thing.
Does anyone have any pressing rule that they would like to see? Or do you want to think about it and get back to me at the next meeting? Barbara, any specific?
No organized league play,
No organized league play.
because that means that you can't play on those courts at a certain time every week and
Right.
with a big group of people.
Okay. What do you do? Because I've seen online some person is giving lessons, you know. What do you do that if they're using our facility to make money for lessons? How do you police that? I don't know.
It really would be so once the rules were adopted as an ordinance, code enforcement would be probably the only person that could write a citation if they weren't complying with it. The sheriff won't typically enforce the city ordinance because it's not like a state law. So basically, code enforcement would be the most likely.
Well,
know,
here's
means
my
of enforcement.
question. My daughter doesn't play tennis anymore, but she started to. If I live in Hazlet and I pay my taxes to Hazlet and I want to hire you to come teach my daughter a tennis lesson, can I not use the tennis court? I don't have a tennis court in my yard. You see what I mean? Like, how do you determine that?
Well, when my daughter took tennis lessons, the tennis coach that taught her lessons contracted with the school district to provide lessons. And I can pass on that name if you're interested. He's really good.
I mean, there's a guy named Spencer that teaches tennis courts.
Yes, that's
And
it.
Spencer teaches everybody, and he's used the
Yeah.
courts, and that's where my daughter's been before. But I mean, if we're paying, I mean, he charges like $5 for a group lesson. I mean, it's not like he's getting rich off of that. But, and I'm not picking on Spencer, don't get me wrong. But say I want to call Spencer up and be like, hey, Abigail really wants to play tennis. Can she get a lesson? Why can't I just do it at the park? I mean, it's not like it's every week.
No, but I think what she's
You mean
talking
like
about,
organized
if this
lessons?
happens on a weekly basis, then
Mhm,
that
okay.
becomes an organized
That's fine.
something.
Okay, I got
And
it.
that's what we're trying to avoid.
So, like organized lessons.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe we could ask the mayor if he wants to work that into the HSA
Yeah.
contract. I
Well,
don't know.
well, I think that's all the things you're talking about are the important things, because all these, kind of caveats to the rule, so a
Right.
really good set of rules that make sense, that are easy to follow, that doesn't have all the exceptions, and there's 1,000 different versions, exactly like you're saying. I think the intention is it's, like a passive park where you can just show up with an expectation to be able to play, as opposed to going to a sports complex where you pay for organized sports. I think that's the simple version that makes sense, but, so where they don't want Monday through Friday, people using it for, as a business to just do, tennis lessons and
Sure.
nobody can play, that's not what you want, but your scenario makes sense too. So I think that's the important part when making rules, that all those
That
kind of
everyone can
bases are
follow.
covered, and you'll never cover all of them, but as many as you can think of that makes it, that's easy to understand, but doesn't prohibit everybody from doing what they need to.
Well, and I remember too when we were upset because the athletic people that were there doing it up,
Can't
using
play
up the
either.
whole basketball court and wouldn't scoot down to one half and even share the space. And that was a money-making thing that they did like every Friday or every Thursday or whenever it was. So that's it. If you can't share it, then you don't need to be there.
Maybe just the no money can be exchanged. Well, that's not either. I don't know. We'll work on it.
Well,
Okay.
and maybe it's something about it being advertised. Because, for example, the person that teaches the pickleball lessons, she advertises on Facebook. And so that's maybe a piece of it that can be included in the rules that would limit that. Possibly. I
Okay.
don't know. And it doesn't
We'll put
matter to me.
advertise. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see what we can and can't, but I'll bring those ideas. I'll circle back and let them know that's what we think. Okay. Do we want to suggest a time limit or not, or leave it at that? Anyone have any input on that?
When we did it before, there was a small sign up there that said, try to limit your play to around an hour, or at least give other people the opportunity to play. Share the court. Share the space.
Okay. Any other projects or ideas anyone would like to put on the next agenda? Yeah, those were actually removed they're going to be back on. I did not remove them, but I did ask to have them put back on. I actually thought they were going to be on this one. I looked at the agenda and I saw them. And they were on the agenda when I saw them, and I don't know where they are again. So they're going to be back next month. So, yeah, because Jimmy Bob may want to talk about a water fountain at Firehouse Field, and he can't today because it's not on my agenda. So, but Jimmy John is not here, so it's not a problem. Worked out. All right, so Gamble Park, Community Park, anything we need to know?
Yeah, I'll show you like 6 pictures or so, if that'll work for a quick update. So it's for both of those parks. We did have a little bit of graffiti, which I think it's been accumulating. I don't think it was just occurred in last week. Colton, if you got those pictures. And I didn't give him in any kind of order,
A
but
little bit.
this is under the little tech stop bridge where the tap trail is. That's really all that entire length has a significant amount of graffiti, like some good, some bad. I think I didn't picture anything that has any obscenities. There was nothing terrible, but just lots of artwork. And so we've done our best to remove those with what we have. That is a TxDOT bridge. We have no real, like, it's really theirs to deal with, but they're not going to. If you'll go, yeah, there we go. So that's what it looks like after. We may look at potentially painting it, because I mean, you can only do so much. It looks a little better than that. They've gone a couple other passes, but you'll never get all that off.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's a real question. So some graffiti is excellent. And, you know, I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and there's mural walks you can go on, and you can see murals on buildings. Can we not let somebody use that area to paint something nice?
We can't
that
there.
says like no profanities? Like, can we ask TxDOT for that? To
We-
allow it to happen?
We could ask, but I do not think they would have a program in place to allow it. And at the very minimum, you would just take over forever maintenance, and nobody wants to do that in a bridge. And even if you put a good mural there, then you'll have good graffiti on top of the mural.
Well, sure.
All we're trying to do is increase visibility under the bridge as best we can to reduce how
Can you
comfortable
even see
people.
it though if you're not in the park?
If well, maybe not. If you walk under the bridge, you can. If you're walking on the trail, you can. I mean, and
I
then-
just wondered if you could maybe work, if it could be approved with TxDOT, to work with the high school, and maybe they could have a yearly project, or maybe twice a fall and a spring, where, you know,
They repaint it.
they repaint, and it's a learning
Art
activity
experience.
for kids.
I mean, if people are going to tag it up, let them tag it up, but at least tag it up with something that looks good.
Well, see it, but if you're gonna do that, some kid's gonna come by Friday night, Saturday morning, just paint right over it.
Sure.
It's graffiti. Yeah. If they do it.
Yeah. Possibly lighting there would help, but
Is any of that gang tagging?
a very small amount. But it's from forever ago. It's been there at least 17 years. Years ago, they've done police reports for, you know, if they saw things that looked gang related, but nothing was ever seen as a real problem. But you sometimes get that. The majority of this was more art than it was anything else. There was 666 across that. I mean, it was not a lot of profanity, which was nice. But we took it off because that's the typical. We don't want, usually if it comes off, it's a little more discouraging to go right back and put it on. But either way, it's just, that's goings on in your park. There's another set of pictures that show the tennis, or the volleyball court, and the horseshoe pits. So if you look at, this is like the edge on the volleyball. And is there a couple other ones there? Yeah, that's the edge above that one. You can't see that concrete border anymore. And then this is the after. These are not in order, unfortunately. So this is sand put back into that. And then that's what the
Oh, you
edging
put
looks
the
around.
sand in it.
We did. So we pulled.
Yay.
So
I was like,
basically
there wasn't
we-
sand there before. It was dirt and grass.
Yeah, we took the
Thank
dirt
you.
back out. We put the sand back in that,
bring my
and then
horseshoes.
the picture you're seeing here is they've re-exposed and refixed the edging on the ball.
Oh, God.
It's just overdue things that we've been trying to chip away at, and so
What did we
That's-
decide about moving that away from the water faucet? Are we going to get a new water fountain or move the sand pit?
we've taken the water faucet out,
Okay.
and we can't really put it back in the condition is the drain system needs to be replaced.
Okay.
So I would suggest relocating it. We still have the fountain, but
Can we put like the water bottle filler one on the side of the bathroom or something?
those are always possible. Like, if that's something somebody wants, we could look into putting that there. It can't really go on the side because there's no way to get plumbing to it
Oh,
there.
okay. I don't know if it came from the sink in the bathroom.
But-
You know, like
but-
the airport ones that say you're saving
Yes.
8,000 million dollars.
Yeah, and they have portable versions. Of course, a lot of those, they're warm, so if they're not refrigerated,
Mm.
but like I said, those are all possibilities in the park. So, and that's really all I have there for those.
All right. Anything else anyone can think of? Oh, yeah, it's all lumped in. Sorry. He gives us. He didn't say, you didn't have anything specific about the Memorial Garden.
Nothing specific. They did kill the weeds in there. I mean, I think it could use a revamping as a whole. It needs kind of like a different layout, a different design, if it was my opinion. I like the bricks that are laid there are not laid in like the memory lane path. There actually is a concrete portion that's perfectly cut out, and then you lay the bricks and you sand between it. I think we need a project in the long term that makes it just a complete redoing of that. But in the meantime, they're killing out the any weeds or grass growing through it. But
All right. Anything for the next meeting? I believe that I would just like to make note for us that are here that I believe today is Barbara's last meeting. She's decided to not be a park board member, just to focus on traveling, maybe?
Oh, must be nice. Very good.
Maybe seeing some grandkids. So we're thankful that you were able to help us all these years and be with us. So we're not trying to make you cry, but we want you to know we appreciate you and we're thankful. Yes. Most days. Oh, yes. We were taking applications before that, so. All right, so we will adjourn then until next time, which is October the 11th, I think, at 6:37.